Hello, crypto people. My name is Joey. I'm part of the Chart Guys team. Been a full-time trader and technical analyst for 7 years, and here to talk about the crypto space. We've got bulls out on Bitcoin in a big way here, headed into the FOMC tomorrow, where we've got 100% odds of the first rate cut in several years. So big question will be, do we get a weekly lower high or not? Let's get in the charts, take a look at what we're all looking at to determine what the dealio is. So looking at the daily here on Bitcoin, we have continuation of the daily uptrend with the bull break of 60.6K, and now all eyes are set on 65K. If we go back to the weekly here, we can see that due to the depth of this retrace, a weekly lower high would be the most likely scenario, but if that's going to form, bears are going to have to take out the daily uptrend, and now we have a new line in the sand for that at 57,493. So that is the key level to hold, and we'll see if bulls can get follow through on this daily bull flag confirmed, or if, as we see often in scenarios like this, it ends up being a daily bull flag confirmed without follow through as the weekly lower high gets set. So we still will need a 4-hour uptrend confirmed from here. This is just straight off of the low, but again, not going to get too jazzed if we do go to higher highs, knowing that that weekly lower high is the most likely scenario. And obviously, it goes without saying the FOMC tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, and then Powell speaking at 2:30 is going to have big time volatility implications on the market, and that can make or break this weekly lower high or have us go to weekly higher highs. It's always a little bit tough to really put a lot of weight into most likely scenarios when you have a fundamental event like that coming on up. So as far as our 4-hour chart, we'll actually start zoomed in. We've got 15-minute 12 EMA acting as support. If that were to be lost, then we'd be zooming out to the hourly 12 EMA, which set our hourly higher low this morning before the big old move up. And then if the hourly 12 EMA is lost, that's when we would zoom back out to the 4-hour 12 EMA. So just going to be the zoom out game from here for Bitcoin. And if we look at Bitcoin dominance, we can see this is certainly the Bitcoin show, hitting the highest prices in quite some time since March 2021, and just continuing to ride up the 2-week 12 EMA, which will remain our guide on Bitcoin dominance as it has been for several months at this point. So let's move on through the list. So ETH, much weaker. Daily bounce underway, but a lot more room for a daily lower high. Anything under 2466 would be one. Bulls never even got the weekly bounce underway, just a little weekly stair step down here, and we can just say that as long as ETH BTC is rejecting from daily 12 EMA, then ETH USD remains relatively weak compared to peers, and even before that we've got 4-hour 12 EMA. So it's all bears on ETH BTC, and as long as that's the case, ETH USD is not the place to focus. So looking at Litecoin, still just sideways here, viewing this as an EQ low, high, higher low, lower high. Bulls trying to shape up a higher low. We're battling the weekly 12 EMA, and if bulls get up and over, that'd be a monthly bounce underway. Then we have a lot of room for a monthly lower high. And if bears continue to defend weekly 12 EMA, then bears maintain full control. LTC, BTC, another rejection from weekly 12 EMA. So similar to how we have daily 12 EMA on ETH BTC, we have weekly 12 EMA on LTC BTC. So let's go through, look at some alts. First off, let's look at FTM. That was one of the scouts from last stream with the inverse head and shoulders on the weekly. That has now confirmed. That's what every alt wants to do, is get a weekly uptrend. We have a handful of them that have at this point. Most aren't seeing much follow through, but we will see how FOMC shakes things up, because we've got this list of all of our names that have our weekly higher lows set. That's very close to resistance, very similar setup to FTM, and TAO is another one of our weekly inverse head and shoulders, not quite as close to resistance. And then a lot of other coins look pretty similar in the sense that, are we going to just continue the weekly downtrend, or are we going to be able to get a weekly uptrend and get some monthly bounces underway? All of these coins looking very, very similar here. So each one that confirms a weekly uptrend increases the odds that others are going to follow. If a name is closer to resistance, it has relative strength compared to a name that is further from resistance. So pretty straightforward with that. So let's go back to FTM, since that's a lead bull here today, and just daily uptrend. going to be our guide, daily 12 EMA. Before that, we've got 4-hour uptrend, 4-hour 12 EMA. So it's just going to be the zoom out game on FTM from 4-hour out to daily. Let's see, SUI got a weekly uptrend. Join the weekly uptrend crew. We know we had the squeeze off of the low, 141%, healthy weekly consolidation. Weekly uptrend confirmed. That's monthly bounce continuation, but we will still be looking for a monthly lower high compared to 218.29. So weekly uptrend now going to be the guide for that monthly bounce. And who else was doing stuff? Oh, our falling wedge on TIA that we've been watching for a while. Let's turn on our lines rather. So this big old falling wedge, we got bulls trying to get up and over. I mean, they are getting up and over. If we look at it on the weekly, they are as well, though there's still a decent amount of time left in the week. And we can't be too shocked if we get a weekly lower high compared to 642. That is the most likely scenario. What bulls want to see from here is a weekly bounce big enough to set up a weekly inverse head and shoulders, try to confirm that weekly uptrend, and see that monthly bounce play out where we've got a lot of room for a monthly lower high. Let's go back and look at SOL. So SOL is relatively weak. Potential daily head and shoulders here. Anything below 139.80 would be a daily lower high. And if that were to confirm that daily head and shoulders, that'd be a quick weekly lower high shaping on up here. So still just sideways. Not going to get too caught up in a sideways range beyond our general balance rules of bulls are playing long off the lows, bears are playing short off the highs, and that is that. What we do know is SOL BTC is weakening here. So we are headed down towards weekly support. We have a weekly equilibrium, and if that were to be lost, looking at 21.55, then we'd be looking right at monthly 12 EMA. So as long as bulls hold monthly 12 EMA on SOL BTC, they remain fine up at the highs. But if that were to be lost at this point, then that would be some quarterly consolidation fixing to shape on up and have us stay within a quarterly EQ on SOL BTC. And if that happens, then SOL will have relative weakness for a sustained period of time. So key support down there is going to be 19.206. And as far as SOL USD, let's look at the 4-hour. Yeah, already given back the full morning pump. So just remains relatively weak. Relatively weak. All right. Let's see what y'all are talking about in chat. Ryan V, ETH BTC new lows. Yep, it's just, there will be a time. Really, what we'll be looking for on ETH BTC is a yearly higher low. A time frame like that takes a long time to shape on up, but just viewing this as a yearly equilibrium, low, high, higher low, lower high, and now lots of room for a higher low compared to 16.15, but no sign of bulls. No sign of bulls. Let's see. Mr. Stevens, what up? Yeah, I had a solid weekend. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see. Amigo Beach, how's AAVE looking? AAVE is looking decent. It's holding above, or it's not quite above weekly resistance, but we know it's got relative strength compared to peers up at the highest prices we've seen in quite some time. But the thing to be wary of on AAVE right now is that AV BTC ratio is coming into monthly resistance. So if we were to get a monthly lower high compared to 29.98 here, that would set up a monthly inverse head and shoulders, but we'd have some relative weakness come back into AAVE USDT. So as far as what we're watching here, it's just the weekly uptrend going to be our guide. So key support is 116. Let's see how we're performing today. So some of that relative weakness starting to come in, but as long as bulls hold daily 12 EMA, they are fine on this consolidation. Let's see if we have some type of falling wedge starting to shape up. Not really. We could probably slop something on there. It's really just this lower low without follow through has me looking for a wedge, but we won't have valid touches to make it like that. But we'll just be mindful that these lower lows are not seeing follow through, and we can check back in on this next stream, see how it ended up resolving. But what do bulls need to do? They need to regain a 4-hour uptrend from here. But you can see how all of these alts are consolidating a lot deeper than Bitcoin here on the 4-hour. Bitcoin's still tied up at the highs, holding 15-minute 12 EMA. Most alts seem to be given back. BNB's holding on well. What's BNB doing? So BNB, just weekly EQ, high, low, lower high, higher, low. Anything below 600 would be a lower high, and a little dinky daily uptrend as our guide for that. Yeah, we can check out MSTR. Good old micro strategy. So MSTR, just a weekly EQ, very similar to Bitcoin. Balancing up at the highs, got high, low, lower high, higher, low. Anything below 152.35 going to be a lower high, and nothing really changes until we break out of this range. So you don't want to be over trading within, and traders want it to get nice and tight, really like CLSK. There's not a lot of opportunity when you're in these sideways ranges unless you're just pinging it back and forth within the range, which is a completely viable tactic. You just have to be kind of patient and a little looser with it. I'm viewing MSTR pretty similarly. It's not as tight, but just starting to tighten on up. And when this breaks, it will let us know, are we getting quarterly consolidation underway, or are we breaking to the upside and going to test all-time highs? Let's see, Mr. Tomato. Your watch list had labels like weekly higher low set and a weekly higher low set, weekly uptrend confirmed. I like it. Great way to categorize. I will borrow it from you. Yeah, no problem, man. It's helpful to keep things organized when we've got so many names, and a lot of times names do similar things, but the main reason I like to do this is to kind of track the whole follow the leader nature that we see in the crypto space, because all these weekly higher lows, they got set one at a time, and the list shifts from weekly higher low set being really light and weekly higher low not set being very heavy, and then it shifts like that. So it's good to keep tabs on it. And if anybody wants that watch list, if you go to our website, chartguys.com, go to resources, crypto corner, and then if you scroll down on the right side here, you can do view my crypto watch list, and that will give you a link for that. And as I update the watch list, your watch list will automatically update. So kind of a cool thing that we can do with technology these days. Let's see, Trade Hunter. Hey dude, I found you out on Reddit. Someone said you are genuine and not some BS. Yeah, you can be the judge for yourself. Glad that you tuned down in though. Nice to have you. Let's see, Terabyte, Rune USDT. Where was Rune? Yeah, Rune's another weekly inverse head and shoulders. It's not as tight of an inverse head and shoulders because our necklines are still 10% apart. But really what it'll be is can bulls get a weekly uptrend to try to get a monthly bounce underway. Anything below 1146 would be a monthly lower high. So lots of room for it, but certainly looking for these monthly bounces in alts. I mean, many of these alts, Rune was not one of, I guess it was 77% off the top. I was going to say many are 70, 80% off the top. So like, yes, they can keep going down, but it won't be surprising when we see bounces. And what crypto bulls would like to see is Bitcoin just stay sideways at the highs, have Bitcoin dominance drop, and then have all of these alts confirm weekly uptrends and get their monthly bounces underway. That's like the way that crypto cycles go. You get Bitcoin taking a move up, it goes sideways, the money rotates into alts, and then the rotation game just keeps on going. So if that were to happen, I don't think it'd be like a full-blown alt season at this point, just given how far Bitcoin dominance can drop. I guess it's only 4% to 2-week 12 EMA, but it's not like it's that volatile. I don't know if percentage is a good metric for this, but even just a move down to 2-week 12 EMA could be enough to have alts see a nice pop. But can't forget that we're looking for monthly lower highs. Can't forget that the Fed pivot historically leads to a bear market in the broad market with a 30% pullback around the minimum. I think the minimum is actually 27%. So, if that happens, we've got the Fed pivot coming tomorrow. It's not like as soon as the Fed pivots, the markets just plummet, plus or minus 1 month. You also got the election thrown in. We know that typically they kind of juice up the markets into the election just a little bit. It's nothing. I feel like people talk about the election cycle with the markets as if it's something incredible, but it's really just like a green October is often what we'll see. If you go back and look at the charts, there's nothing that says pops out as like, wow, this is clearly an election run up or something like that. So it'll kind of be a battle of the Fed pivot and the green October that we see like just over 50% of the time going into elections. So we'll see. Just taking it one step at a time. And in terms of crypto, in terms of the broad market, it will be very clear if we are entering a bear market. We will stop seeing rotation. We're continuing to just see rotation in the broad market. And until that stops, then there's nothing to really fear from bears. But we know how euphoria ends. Like, I mean, let's just look at this NVDA chart. We'll turn off log. We'll go to the quarterly. You know, I mean, would it be shocking to see quarterly consolidation? I don't think so. I certainly don't think so. 46% down to the 12 EMA. If we turn on log, we can see it's, you know, a lot chiller, and it can continue to go. As far as consecutive stair steps, let's see, we got 6. We're in our 7th right now. And, you know, this went a good number further there. And a similar percentage move. You know, that's 1,500%. That's 1,200%. So we can absolutely keep the show on the road. I'm not saying that it's got to end now. I'm saying that we have fundamental events that historically have led to a tone shift in the market. So just make sure you have your plan. That's the only reason I talk about this. I'm not saying this because I'm loading up the boat short yet. I'm going to be looking to. But, you know, you got to be an idiot to aggressively fight the broad market bulls. Just wait for bears to do something and then hop on the road. So if Bitcoin's going to remain fine, bigger picture, monthly 12 EMA is going to remain support. 49K is going to remain support. If we lose 49K, that'll be quarterly consolidation follow through and really 6-month consolidation starting to shape on up. And if we look at like ETH USD, you know, 6-month EQ, SOL, 6-month potential EQ. Lots of names have this potential 6-month EQ. Yes, Bitcoin broke resistance, but if all of these alts are to get 6-month lower highs, then Bitcoin's likely not to see follow through on its new all-time highs. So, and then the third wrench to get thrown in. So we've got FOMC, presidential election, and then, you know, your general crypto 4-year cycles that has everybody looking for an alt season now. My guess would be we get some monthly bounces in alts, and then everyone says, is this the alt season? And then they just set monthly lower highs. But I also don't really guess that much because, as I've said before, what we think in the markets doesn't really matter. We just got to listen to what the market is telling us, and it's that simple. All right, let's check out INJ. So INJ, another name that has that, or one of the only names that we've looked at that actually has that 6-month consolidation underway. We got a monthly downtrend, but bulls are hopeful that it can be a healthy, quick quarterly higher low. Step 1 of getting that shaped down up, it's going to be breaking weekly lower highs. We've got a weekly EQ and still a good deal of space for a lower high compared to 22.98. So we would need to see the whole space and perhaps the whole markets just go bunkers on the FOMC tomorrow, which I do anticipate, even though I'm bearish on the pivot, like bigger picture and the implications that it has on the markets. I would be very surprised if there's not some type of sucker pop tomorrow, just because the laymen think that the pivot is good for the markets, because like logic would, standard logic would tell you it is. But INJ, we just got this big old falling wedge we can start looking at. I don't know why I didn't have that drawn on there already. Drawed. Good heavens. Good heavens. I'm tired. It's rainy. Solar storms are going crazy. All right. I am going to have to wrap it up. I'm going to chart guys stream coming up here in 10 minutes. Thank you all for tuning in, spending some of your afternoon with me. Stay frosty for the FOMC tomorrow. We'll see what we get. We will see what we get. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button, only if you liked it. And I will see you guys probably Thursday for follow-up on what the heck went on with the FOMC. So sorry about the tickers that I didn't get through, and I will see y'all next time.